Howdy, y'all. Caleb here. I wanted to take a second to look at the state of Seraphon. What's the meta look like? Now, we saw this chart from GW and their Metawatch article, and it shows that Seraphon is in pretty good shape. 52% win rate. That means you're, ahead of most of the field. You're still in that desirable range between 45 and 55. So that's good. As a whole, Seraphon, I think, is doing well. It's not the best army out there. It's not the worst. But I wanted to kind of dig into these results. What's the saying? Trust but verify. So I went through the last 2 weekends worth of matchups in BCP. I picked the last 2 weekends because I'd already done a video on the couple of weekends before that. So we had a whole lot of tournaments the last 2 weekends. There were almost 300 games played with Seraphon. So I felt like that was a pretty good sample size. It's kind of a mix between 5-game tournaments and 3-game tournaments. So there's a little bit of a mix in there. We're not just looking at 5-game tournaments. So in total, we have almost 300 matches, 138 wins, for a win percentage of 46%. Now, that's a little bit lower than what GW's article was showing. Maybe it's a smaller sample size than what they're using. Maybe it's just a recency bias. Maybe we're trending down. So interesting to see that the last 2 weekends over these 300 matches were a little bit lower than what the GW shows. Now, I wanted to break this apart via faction just to see what who's doing well and who's not. And you can see here, I broke it down by faction. Fangs of Sotek has just skyrocketed up in popularity. We had Dracothian's Tail played a whole lot right at the beginning of the book, but Fangs of Sotek has come back big time now. So Fangs of Sotek is by far the most popular faction. And it's our best faction right now. It went 83 wins, 73 losses, and 4 draws for a 52% win rate, which is that's what the GW article was showing. So that's a very good win rate right there. That's where you want to be. 52% is in that acceptable range. Koatl's Claw is a little bit worse. Fewer games played, but still quite a few. We've got more than 100 here. So Koatl's Claw at 46 wins, 58 losses, 4 draws for a 42% win rate. So that's pretty low. If we look back at that chart here, 42% would actually put them pretty low. That would put them one of the worst armies in the game. So if you just do subfactions. Now, I would assume if you did this across all the subfactions, you'd end up with similar results where some subfactions are much higher and others are much lower. But I think it's pretty interesting to see as we focus in on Seraphon what subfactions are doing good. Dracothian's Tail, it just isn't seeing a lot of play right now, not nearly as much as it was before. It's at a 38% win rate. And then Thunder Lizard is just almost non-existent. There's 2 of you out there that are running Thunder Lizard still. Well done. Not performing that well, though. I think it was only taken in 2 tournaments, 3-game tournaments. And we only got 1 win with Thunder Lizards there. So 17% win rate for Thunder Lizard. Now, that's an extremely small sample size. I'm sure those were pretty fun lists. I should have gone back and look at what those Thunder Lizard lists were. But Thunder Lizard not in a great place. Just basically play it in Koatl's Claw if you're gonna take monsters anyway. So one interesting thing I did notice is that a lot of the top performing lists had the Krondspine, the Incarnate, in it. And so I looked at Seraphon with the Incarnate, and that was interesting. 29 wins, 14 losses, no draws for a 67% win rate. So if you're struggling in whatever subfaction you've chosen, maybe a Krondspine's the answer. Most of those were taken in Fangs of Sotek. The Krondspine kind of fulfills a role in Fangs that Fangs doesn't really have, which is that anvil, that fast melee unit that can both hit hard and stick around. So that really works in Fangs, but there was some success with it in Koatl's Claw too. So pretty interesting as long as the Krondspine stays where it is and the spell Rupture exists so you can make it wild. Krondspine is an interesting choice for Seraphon. So 67% win rate when you include a Krondspine. Nice. I did want to take a look at 2 lists, and I think these were a good sample of what was doing well. So Fangs of Sotek, we have Mike Stewart's list from the Golden Ticket event. and he went 5-1. They were playing 6 games here, it looks like. And he's taking Fangs of Sotek, Grand Strategy, Spellcasting Savant, so keep his general who's a wizard alive. That's going to be your Slon. And as you look through this, it's a pretty standard Fangs of Sotek list. I think we see this a lot, where we've got a Slon that's casting spells. We've got an Astrolith Bear with Arcane Tome who's casting spells. He's buffing all the other wizards. We've got Lord Croak to do what he does. 2 Starseers, which both have 2 spells each. And so you have a lot of opportunities to cast spells in this list. That means a lot of Celestial Conjuration points. So you can either summon things in or do mortal wounds. So a lot of opportunities there to rack up those points. Lord of Celestial Resonance is a command trait on Slon. Pretty standard. Doubles up your Celestial Conjuration points from the Slon. He's bonded to Krondspine, so he has the spell Rupture. Rupture makes that Krondspine go wild, which means you can run it and still charge it. And you're going to run that thing across the board. You're going to cast probably Malevolent Maelstrom out in front of it, so that when it is ruptured and wild, it can charge that endless spell, eat it, level up, and now he's in your enemy's face turn 1. A leveled up Krondspine is incredibly hard to take down. Other than that, it's just your basic battle line. You got 2 units of Skinks, some Source Guard to protect your Slon, and some endless spells. Doesn't really worry about the drops here too much, but gets the extra Primal Dice and the extra spell enhancement to get those nice spells. You've got some options here, depending on what your opponent's throwing at you. You can teleport in a Starseer and hit them with both Merciless Blizzard and Cosmic Crush if you wanted to. Both great spells for doing mortal wounds. Or you can shut off a ward with the Starseer's War Scroll spell and then hit him with Merciless Blizzard. So lots of great options there, as well as all the other mortals and stuff that Seraphon normally does. So I think you'll see this a lot in the Fangs of Sotek list, where you have that hero-heavy Fangs list, very light on battle line and Krondspine in to provide the stick to beat the enemy with. This next list here is a Koatl's Claw list, and I just saw this one. I just really like this one. You might see why here in a second. This was from the Tempest 2023 event. This is Rafal, man, Rafal. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I love you because you're taking Koatl's Claw and 12 Agrodons. We've got, as our heroes, this is in Koatl's Claw, Overshadow is a grand strategy, so we can make sure and kill all the battle line while keeping yours alive. We've got Lord Croak, a Starseer with Merciless Blizzard, and an Astrolith Bear with Vengeful Defender as our general. So that Vengeful Defender is what makes this list work. You've got your 2 giant blocks of Agrodons, 12 Agrodons. Mwah, perfect. Love it. And the Astrolith Bear is sending them off to go fight and hit the enemy turn 1. So that's great. Love that. Then we've got 20 Source Warriors, which is just, 40 wounds of can you kill it? This Warriors will, a lot of time, they'll probably have the 5-up ward from the Starseer. They might have Mystic Shield from Croak. They might have +1 to save from his ability. This unit should be very difficult to kill once they get through your Lancers. You're probably going to put up all those buffs on the Agrodons, send them off, and then buff up the Warriors next and get them onto the middle objectives wherever you need to. So guard there to help keep Croak alive, and all that in a battle regiment for 1 drop. You got some great casting. You got some great defenses. You got some great melee. I love it. And, if anybody comes close to your Warriors, you're going to blast them with Croak. With the Starseer, or with the Astrolith and Croak in Koatl's Claw, you've still got 18-inch range on his spammable spells. So he knows all the lore, which means you can buff up your Warriors or Lancers to give them more rend. You can do telepathic summons to still move stuff around the board. Not quite as useful as it used to be, but still useful. Plenty of stuff to cast. Oh, he also has Suffocating Gravetide, which will help you deal with some hordes or just block off parts of the board if you need to. So, great list there. I really like that one. Big fan of that Koatl's Claw list. All right, those are a couple of the lists that I saw that I liked, and this is how our breakdown is for the last couple of weekends. Let me know if you're having different results than this and what you think about where Seraphon's at right now. We'll see you guys next time.